Greetings, everyone. We welcome you to the Science, Technology, Innovation STI Forum side event hosted by IEEE Humanitarian Activities Committee. In this session, we are going to primarily look at feet on the ground initiative, primarily on how to connect with a global network of local technically trained partners in the time of COVID and beyond. I am Sampath Veeraraghavan, the Global Chair for IEEE Humanitarian Activities Committee. And we also have here Ms. Holly Brown, who is the Director, Public Imperatives and Corporate Development. Holly and myself, we welcome you all to this exciting session. Next slide. So, as part of this particular session, what we're going to show you is how IEEE, which is a world's largest professional organization, provides opportunity to leverage locally trained technologists, how they could collaborate with local communities and they could collectively address the pandemic related challenges and beyond. That's what we are going to look into. And this perfectly aligns with the larger vision of the STI forum, where the goal is to advance science, technology and innovation primarily to achieve the SDGs. Next slide. So in our session, what we are going to do is we are going to first look into what is IEEE, why this specific topic is even relevant to IEEE, and particularly we'll be spending more time on what is Humanitarian Activity Committee and what kind of global programs we offer and how we could empower technologists at grassroots level to actually apply their technical skills in addressing the greater sustainable development challenges. And we will also specifically will be deep diving on a couple of examples focused on how IEEE members through the Humanitarian Activity Committee's program have successfully addressed COVID related challenges. And finally, we will also present a call to action. What are the possible areas that the STI audience could partner with HAC or with IEEE? How you could join hands with us to build a better future for the marginalized population throughout the world. Next slide. Okay, first let's look at what is IEEE at a glance. Next slide. So IEEE is the world's largest professional organization. When it comes to engineering, IEEE covers the breadth and width of engineering. IEEE has about close to, I would say, like 500,000 engineers throughout the globe. And you name any specific engineering specialization and IEEE is there. I mean, there is a technologist or engineers who is part of the IEEE fraternity who is advancing the innovations in any form of, I would say, like engineering streams here. Next slide. So let's look at some of the significant global footprint of IEEE. Now, as I said, we have more than 4,000 members in about 160 countries, and about 60% of our members are from US. And we have about 10 regions, as you can see here, which spans across covering the breadth and width of globally all the countries. We also have a very strong footprint. We have about more than 100,000 student members, and we support close to more than 2,000, nearly about 2,000 conferences every year. And we also have close to about 5 million, technological document in our, in our repository, So all this thing shows one thing, it's pretty clear. When it comes to engineering and technology, IEEE is the de facto leader, in terms of publication, in terms of empowering or advancing technology for the benefit of humanity. Next slide. So with that, at a high level, description about IEEE, let's talk about, what kind of possibilities IEEE also offers to its member, right? Not only, it offers opportunity to skill development, it also provides global platform to showcase their, advancements in research and technology. For example, we have close to about 2,000 conferences, and we typically attract close to more than 500,000, conference attendees who comes from diversified industries, technological backgrounds and countries and so forth. So you can say here the blast radius of the impact that IEEE as an organization is bringing globally across the world. Next slide. And also we partner with more than 1,400 other non-profit organizations to the globe. So needless to say, there is more networking opportunity, transnational opportunity for your for our members to participate and give it back. Now let's talk specifically about what is IEEE humanitarian activity. What are we doing here in STI forum, right? So let's talk about why SDG is relevant specifically for IEEE, and that's where IEEE humanitarian activity comes into play. IEEE Humanitarian Activity Committee, also called as IEEE HAC, is basically a global committee for the IEEE, and the mandate of this committee is to actually inspire, connect, and empower a global network of grassroots technologists, in every country. Next slide. So HAC today offers a portfolio of global programs. One of our most famous program or popular program, it's called as the IEEE Special Interest Group on Humanitarian Technology, also called as the SITE program, where every technologist or the engineers at the grassroots level is given an opportunity to actually, partner with local communities and local partnering organizations, which could be NGOs or non-profit organizations, to collectively, work together to develop technological solutions to address the sustainable development challenges faced by the local community. In addition to SITE, HAC also offers a, a plethora of opportunity such as professional skill development. Today, we train our members through educational programs, through workshops, through online curriculum available in IEEE's own web portal called as IEEE Learning Network, where we teach our students and next generation engineers how to design and deliver humanitarian engineering and technology driven sustainable development programs, which are very, very relevant and aligned to the larger vision of UN SDG goals. In addition to that, we also provide funding so that engineers at the grassroots level can apply the technical skills and innovate towards achieving the SDG goals as well as to solve the sustainable development challenges at grassroots level. And fourthly, we have an amazing partnership within IEEE, and also we are expanding our horizons with external players like UN agencies and industries and so forth. So there is even lot more opportunity both for our partners and also for participating members to get an enriching experience and also to contribute towards the greater purpose of improving the living conditions of the marginalized people by building a better future for everyone, which is also in a nutshell the goal of the UN SDGs, which is to build by 2030 an inclusive society where we will be able to address all the pressing challenges that is reflected in the 17 SDGs. Next slide. Let's talk a little bit more about what HAC's work primarily focuses on, right? Today, HAC creates awareness on the role of technology in addressing the sustainable development challenges through our feet on the ground initiative, also called as SITE, as I told you earlier. And we have about more than 16,500 members actively working on the SITE program in 118 countries. Secondly, we also provide training, and most recently we trained over 400 individuals who have participated in our online humanitarian technology and sustainable development curriculum. As I said, we use workshops, conference events, and we also provide webinars and many more channels here to improve the skill set for our members. This is very, very important, especially for students and young professionals in underdeveloped and developing countries, because these programs not only gives you an out of classroom experience, but also prepares you to have additional skill set, to gain new skill set, primarily getting you ready to onboard to industry. An example here could be like program management. How do you interface or interact with multiple stakeholders in your local community? How to effectively improve your communication skills and so forth. So all this benefits comes through the educational programs offered by HAC. And thirdly, we provide funding, as I said earlier, for driving technology based humanitarian engineering programs, Last year, the Humanitarian Activity Committee rolled out a project funding program where we received close to 229 projects throughout the world from 34 countries, and we funded over 101 projects. And these projects primarily focused on addressing pandemic related challenges faced by the global community. And lastly, our goal is to empower all our partners and our members to create a global community so we all could collaboratively can address the sustainable development challenges and contribute towards the larger vision of the SDGs. Next slide. Okay, so again, in a nutshell here, you can see why engaging in humanitarian technology activities with IEEE, what kind of benefits we offer to the members actually, right? First, the training and awareness, which we already spoke about. It helps to improve your skill set and gets you prepared to onboard to industry, as well as to pursue advancements in your research career. Secondly, professional development. I mean, you may be from a particular expertise in a particular field, but HACs provides a much broader spectrum of opportunity for you to continuously learn throughout your life. So there's a continuous opportunity here because you are working with real world problems identified by your local community, which requires multidisciplinary approach to solve these problems. And thirdly, we spoke about the project funding. And fourth, we also spoke about the connections to a global network. And we are a truly global program. And as I said, we have a strong footprint in about 180 countries. So think about the possibilities here. The solution you developed in your country could easily be collaborated and ported to a different country. So there are a lot of possibility here for transnational engagement at the same time, to collectively work together towards the greater purpose here. And lastly, as I said, everything aligns perfectly to the larger goal here for IEEE. The IEEE's larger mission is to advance technology for the benefit of humanity, which perfectly aligns with UN's SDGs goal, which is to build a better future for everyone by 2030, right? So you want to advance the technology, and technology plays as a catalyst role to drive this innovation so that we can collectively empower and foster growth and building a better future by 2030. Next slide. So here you can take a snapshot at the first program, like which is called the site program. And you can see here some of our members, they work with the local partnering organizations and they devise technological solutions to address these pressing challenges. Now, site as a program, we are in the 10th year of anniversary of our program as we speak. This is an important milestone. We have about 16,500 members in 118 countries. But the most important fact here is about 75% of our members are students or graduate student members. So that means these programs deliver a very powerful value proposition to our student members and members early in their career to give it back to the society through the technical skills, but also through the leadership skills. So this is really important because the future of every country is going to be decided by the students of today or the leaders of tomorrow. So an HAC and site provides that platform for every country today globally. And secondly, site, its inception in 2011 and we start rolling out in 2012. And we have about 178 site groups throughout the world in, I would say, in 53 countries. And as I said, we will look some specific examples here, the kind of projects we support. But it's very fascinating. And these are indigenous solution that is developed by our own members, identifying the local challenges in their backyard, in their community. So the goal here is think globally, but act locally so that we could collectively can, achieve the global vision of the SDGs by 2030. Next slide. Okay, look, this is again a fascinating, growth journey for site. This also demonstrates why partnering with HAC is important. Site as a program, we have achieved about a 200 to 300% growth rate in the last 3 years. You can see here, we reached our first milestone, I would say, of 10,000 membership, both in 2019 and 2020. But in spite of the pandemic, more engineers and technologists throughout the world started participating in our programs because they found it this is more relevant, but it also provides them a continuous opportunity for them to give it back to their own local community. That is very, very important, right? And you can see here today we are marching towards 16,500. I'm pretty confident by which is the highest membership growth for site, and I'm pretty confident by end of this year we will set a new benchmark in terms of our membership growth. And you can also see here consistently over the years how the interest and the participation of global technologists inside as a program. You can see that the nice curve here every year. The growth is keep on going, and within 100 days of our office this year, the 2021 committee, you can see here we are already at nearly 50% mark what we delivered last year. So this is an amazing story. And again, site membership is free. So if you're not a member, we are going to share you the details. Go and get register as a site member. It doesn't cost you anything, but it opens up a huge window of opportunity for you to to enjoy the benefits offered by HAC and site. Next slide. Okay, let's talk about how the programs offered by HAC is very critical for students and young professionals, right? So we already spoke about how 75% of our global footprint are like students, right? Now, what is the primary reason why students is finding it very, very attractive, these programs, right? I mean, there are a couple of things, right? One, as I said, the out of the classroom experience, what you offer to the students. Secondly, the knowledge level that you gain from working on a real world project, that's really, really very cool and very important. My journey with IEEE started as a student involved in devising technological solutions for children with autism in India. But I've been like, like it actually aspired the motivation in me to give it back and work towards the larger SDG goals over the years. And you can see here from the testimonials, not only it helps them to improve the technical skills, but also to expand on the network and also bring them the personal bond that we are all together as one global family. So solving these grander challenges are even more important for the global family, and that kind of sense of ownership and bonding is what offered by HAC and site programs actually. Okay, next slide. And at organization level, like how this become a win-win model, right? So at the individual level, you can participate in this program, you can do a project, you can mentor a project, you can take the educational resources what we offer, it helps you to improve your knowledge. These are pretty much great, right? At an individual level, right? I mean, you are able to give it back. Now at a community level and partner level, why this is important? Because this is a win-win model. For the local community, you are now able to develop technology capacity in local settings to promote sustainable development. Remember, to achieve the sustainable development, technology is a vital catalyst, and we'll see that shortly in another slide, how these pieces are interconnected. So today the need is not only you understand the need, but you also need trained technologists in a local setup who can work with the local communities and come back with solutions which are specific, relevant, and actionable to the benefit of the local communities. And thirdly, for the global organizations, why it matters, right? Partnering with HAC provides not only help us to jointly foster a global ecosystem, but also it enables us to collectively deliver an exponential impact, specifically the social impact on to help the marginalized community. For example, we have many opportunities to partner with global organizations. One, you can partner with us to roll out a joint funding program, and we have engineers in 118 countries. Think about the possibilities, what we could bring out collectively. Secondly, we can also like scale out existing programs, pilot new initiatives, and develop new approaches by partnering with IEEE. So there's a huge potential here, given that IEEE is a world leader in engineering and technology and having more than 400,000 members in 160 countries. Think about the possibilities, what we can bring it to the table. Next slide. And look here, like amazing footprint. I'm sure in few years, we will have a presence even in Antarctica. That is our goal here. You can see the huge, interest here, which is quite reflected. If you take North America, South America, Africa, Asia, right? We also have presence in Australia, so you can see pretty much like in all the leading continents, we are emerging, we are growing big time through the HAC and site program. So we are a truly global program, And as I said, we really provide a grassroots level opportunity to empower our members to deliver impactful sustainable development initiatives. Next slide. Let's talk about how do I participate? Yes, after kindling your interest, this is how site groups are formed basically. So as I told you, today you can become a site member by just going to the IEEE website and registering for it. So once you have 6 IEEE members, you can actually come together to create an entity called as site group, which could be at your university level, or it could be at your city, or like where you are from, or even it could be at your technical society level. Now the goal here is it consists of like 6 members, and there are 3 major elements here. First, we want the members of the committee to learn about the sustainable development, build relationship with their local communities, and third, implement humanitarian technology and sustainable development group projects that utilize technology to tackle the key problems within the community. One key call out here is that you don't have to be an engineer to be part of a site program, which is very unique when compared to other IEEE programs. Here you can be a non-IEEE members and you can still be part of your local site group. The idea here is that we wanted to empower our partners as well to be part of our site activities. Again, we are really like our goal is to build local capacity. So we are not a big fan of parachuting people from one country to other country. We rather want to create impact makers in every single community by investing and delivering local capacity. So that means you will still have an idea. I mean, today I can work with, I'm in US, I can still work with a team in Africa. And similarly, a team in Africa can guide a team in US, on a specific area. But we don't want to parachute people. Rather, we want to build the global community and they can collaborate collectively to solve this problem. But at the end of the day, we really want to build the local capacity, which is relevant to the local community where the problems are being faced. And thus, site promotes cross-pollination of ideas, solutions, and partnerships through its network of site groups throughout the world. Next slide. Okay, this is one of my favorite slides. You can see here how technology is a foundational component of solving humanitarian issues in the sustainable development space. As you can see here, there are 4 major elements here: science, technology, engineering, society, and nature. Foundationally, there is a need. The need is from the local community, or it could be from the society or nature, that drives advancements in science and technology. Science in turn creates theories and drives engineering to deliver products, which is again consumed by the local community. As they start using the product, more needs emerges, more resources are needed. Again, the feedback is fed into engineering. Similarly, on the technological front, based on the needs of the local community, we develop tools leveraging engineering principles and application. And then again, it's a feedback tool. The solutions are again used, and because of emerging needs, it again drives the innovation. So it's a very, very interconnected piece. The humanitarian engineering and the needs of the local community, these are strongly interconnected. Now let's look at some examples specifically. Why, as a technologist, or even like I would say like an engineer or a student, you should involve in humanitarian activities? First, it provides opportunity for creative solution formulation, bottom up, right? You basically work with the local community, understands their needs, and then you creatively formulate a solution backwards from there. This could be a new technology development, or you could creatively leverage existing technology and customize it to serve the needs of the local community. Secondly, connect and collaborate with interdisciplinary domains. As I said earlier, maybe you're working on a healthcare problem. That means you're going to work with doctors, local agencies in the healthcare sector, right? Thirdly, design and deliver solution that touch the lives of people. I mean, that's far most important to me as an individual, right? If you deliver a solution and you see the smile in that you are able to bring a positive change in the living conditions of the marginalized population, that is, I feel like, far more rewarding personally than anything else, right? And fourthly, contributing to the larger cause. I mean, we spoke about it earlier, the greater goal of advancing technology for the benefit of humanity. And the fifth point here is enhance public visibility on the role of engineering in addressing complex real world challenges. I mean, this problems also like being provides a great avenue for us to attract the interest of the next generation of engineers, right? The children in high school and middle school, they get to know how they could like they get fascinated when they see a robotic project and so forth. So this is a good way to attract them and kindle their interest towards engineering. And lastly, promote engineering as an attractive career path to young students. So in a nutshell, this technology definitely is an integral component of the humanitarian issues, and it is fundamentally needed to achieve the larger sustainable development goal. That's how the larger UN SDG goals are strongly interconnected with the IEEE's HAC efforts right now through the technological component. Next slide. Okay, so we will see some specific examples here, what we did as a program during the COVID situation. Next slide. Okay, so as you all know, we are still like many countries are still struggling to come out of the pandemic situation. So when the pandemic hit globally last year, HAC came back with a very novel approach. What we did was, along with the site program, we rolled out a joint COVID project funding program. The primary purpose of this program is to actually fund projects or technology development which are very relevant in addressing the pressing emerging needs due to the pandemic situation. And we received over 229 proposals, which is the highest in the last, I would say, in the couple of years. And I would say, like, out of that, we funded over 100 projects. Today, more than 100 projects were funded in nearly 29 countries. So thousands of engineers probably are today are working as a catalyst to address the pandemic related situation in their own country. Even better, in 2021, within the first 90 days of this committee, we already have received 156 proposal, which is the highest in the history of HAC per cycle, number of proposals received per cycle. And you can see here, definitely there is a greater need, global need, in investing and nurturing technology-based sustainable development programs. And we are super thrilled that HAC is providing this opportunity to our grassroots leader, you know, to bring in this level of changes across the world. Next slide. In coming slides, we'll specifically be looking into certain examples, but you can see here, a 10,000 feet overview of some of the countries where it is from, like you can see here the number of proposals. You can see ranging from India to Africa to South America and also to America. So we have a strong coverage here across the board. Next slide. And this is very, very like important here. And you can see here the distribution of the kind of interest, like people throughout the globe are participating here. You can see like a huge spectrum here: Bolivia, Peru, Tunisia, Ecuador, Nigeria, India, Pakistan, Indonesia, US, Venezuela, South Sudan. So it's a huge one. I mean, so this clearly reflects the breadth and width of the problem that people globally are addressing by coming together, joining hands together and collectively solving together. Next slide. Now, we also did something very interesting last year. Uh, while our goal is to empower our members or technologies at grassroots level, we truly wanted to make sure there is a systematic way we could nurture these projects so that it is not a one-off effort. Rather, we could scale up and we could potentially can convert these ideas and provide a much larger blast radius of impact. In order to do that, what we did was we created what we call it as communities of practice. So based on the proposals received last year, we created 6 thematic areas where these projects are falling into. And you can see here, we have medical devices, ICT, PPE. I mean, one of the biggest needs because of COVID is mask and sanitizers, right? I mean, that's very important. And fourthly, we also had infection control device and power and water and food security. So basically, based on this common thematic area, we created a committee of practice. So the committee of practice can then be led by senior technologists who can continue to provide necessary guidance so that the projects can be, seamlessly can be like delivered as planned. At the same time, it also will provide a global platform to bring together engineers or technologists particularly working on the thematic area to come together for networking, to share best practices, and also to define common metrics to share, whether they are able to progress on the right direction here. So this has been amazingly successful for us, and this year we are continuing this effort as well. So that is how we cater to the need, both short-term need by rolling out a project program, but also to the long-term need by fostering an ecosystem of community of practice so that we can sustain the momentum and we can also scale up the growth in those areas. Next slide. Okay. Spotlight on funded projects. So I request Holly to present this segment. You will hear about the amazing work done by our members throughout the world. Holly, please.
Okay, thank you, Sampath. All right. So Sampath talked about how needs drive advancement. And one of the things we wanted to make sure with these projects that we funded last year was that they were truly addressing a local need. And so we've got 5 examples that we'll talk about in the short time we have left. And they're from a variety of different parts of the world and a variety of different challenges as well as solutions. So the first one here is the automatic soil monitoring and irrigation system for COVID-19 migrants. This is located in India, in Dhanbad, Jharkhand, India. So the situation with this particular project was that, everyone may recall last year with the beginning of the pandemic, you probably saw pictures and video footage of people, especially in India, walking on foot from their where they had lived in urban centers, walking back to the local villages from which they came. And that wound up causing various challenges. In this particular community, when these, as they call them, COVID-19 migrants returned to the community, what they found was that there really weren't jobs to be had there. In this particular community, locally it had been coal. There'd been a lot of jobs in coal mining, but they had been moving away from that, and there were just in general a lot less manual labor. And so this particular group thought that it would be great to introduce a smart agriculture solution here, in this case, a smart auto irrigation, an app-based soil monitoring system, so that this would be able to, by focusing the community's efforts on these opportunities in smart agriculture that the community really was not aware of before. This opened up all sorts of new opportunities, in particular with then jobs, so that people didn't have to go back to the cities to try to find work, gainful employment, that they could really take a look at how these kinds of systems, this technology, they could see why it makes sense and how it really could just be so, make such a big change for good in this particular community. So you can see on the slide just some of the things that were part of the system, with farmerless irrigation support, 24/7 monitoring, smart adjustments, etc. And this project actually got so much national and local press, replacing older irrigation technology that led to water waste, encourages local residents to remain in this area rather than migrating to the other cities. So this really was just a tremendous success story for this particular project. The next one, we're going to go to Brazil, and this is engineers assisting ventilator maintenance. And the challenge there was in Brazil, there actually were a number of ventilators, but they couldn't be used because they needed repair and maintenance, and they didn't have them. They had no one who could do that. So this particular group of young professional members from the Rio de Janeiro section worked together with various stakeholders to actually train, so they could gain training, and then they trained others on how to maintain these ventilators. And this was also a great project. It actually won an IEEE award within that region because of just what a great impact it had, and it was such a wonderful way to engage the volunteers in a meaningful way. And so you can see this testimonial here that says, in addition to helping to save lives, the IEEE members and non-members are getting the opportunity to learn about topics such as the treatments being used for COVID-19 patients, equipment maintenance, test management, equipment care, and safety and health monitoring. And this was really great, especially for these young professional members too, who are starting their careers and gaining this experience. And one thing I know too about this project is that Sampath mentioned the communities of practice, and this was a project that really took advantage of the community of practice. In that case, the community of practice lead was a professional subject matter expert in India who worked very closely with the project lead on this project, and it was such a mutually beneficial relationship. And that really helped the project to develop in the way that it did. Okay, next up, we're going to go to Uganda, and this was protection for frontline workers in the COVID-19 response. So this was student and professional members from Uganda. And in this particular case, the big challenge was a lack of PPE. And because of that lack of PPE, you had healthcare workers who did not want to come into work because of their fears of their own personal safety, because they obviously, didn't have the PPE, were, scared about treating folks who potentially could have COVID. So the IEEE team was able to get in there very quickly and 3D print full face shields. This is based on open source designs, and they donated them to frontline health workers to address that shortage of appropriate PPE. So, again, this was really a great opportunity to partner with these various levels of, national healthcare workers. Let's see, the next one, we'll go to Indonesia, and this is a nutrition guide and recipe repository for family resilience in COVID-19. And this is a really interesting project because the situation in this country was that, in this particular community, was that folks were really used to purchasing a lot of their food from street hawkers, that they weren't used to doing a lot of their cooking at home. And so here they were in the situation where the street hawkers couldn't be there. They couldn't go out to buy previously prepared food. Rather, they had to do that themselves. And not only that, there were shortages of various ingredients. There were considerations such as ensuring that the food was halal, culturally appropriate, but then also making sure that mothers were able to ensure that their children had proper nutrition during this difficult time. And so this I thought was a really interesting project because you wouldn't necessarily think of engineers with this one, but really engineers were able to see the challenge and come up with a solution that involved a platform and a social media campaign. Because the target community here did have internet access, but they were vulnerable to misinformation and low nutrition literacy. So they were able, this group was able to partner with some other stakeholders, such as the local Rotary Club and the Women's Organization of Indonesia's Finance Department. And so as a result, they were really able to reach a lot of folks and help ensure the health and well-being during this unprecedented time. And our final example will go to Guatemala, and we have the distance education program adapted to COVID-19. And this, of course, as in many, if not most places in the world, once the pandemic took hold, students were not able to go to school, And these were there were a lot of places that had never even done anything with remote learning. And so this group in Guatemala, the professional IEEE members in Guatemala, came up with a pilot program to facilitate virtual classes for 28 elementary school students and their teachers from August to October. And you can see the testimonial. The project shows that students use their equipment appropriately, taking care of it until the end of the process, and that this technology would be a useful tool for their learning. It is most valuable because the educational problem in Guatemala is very serious, and this pilot project shows that with the right tools, positive changes can be achieved. And again, this was a pilot project, so now that they have done this proof of concept, this can be rolled out to other schools. This was particularly this was for a fourth grade class, I believe. But this could be, so it could go to other fourth grade classes, but it could also be adapted for other grades, other situations. So those are just 5 examples of the around 100 projects from last year. But this really gives you a sense of what IEEE is capable of, and the opportunities that we have for folks who are interested in partnering with IEEE to either scale up something you already have, to pilot something new, to work with IEEE and brainstorm what's possible. Just so many things, so many really passionate volunteers. So I am the staff lead for HAC, and so I get to work with people all over the world. I mean, not seeing them in person, just on email and video chat and things like that. But I'm just so impressed with the caliber of volunteers and members we have. And I would really love to share them with a broader audience so that we can achieve more together. So with that, I will turn it back over to Sampath.
Thank you, Holly. That was a very impressive presentation covering the breadth and width of our programs. So with that said, we are now nearing the last segment, where what are the possibilities for the STA forum stakeholders, right? How can you partner with HAC and site, and what kind of possible actions you can do? So some of the call to actions here are, identify potential opportunities. If you have an existing programs that you wanted to partner with us, let us know, write to us, right? We could even pilot a new initiative, right? There could be a specific thematic area, maybe that, your organization is vesting on a specific region. Definitely chances are there we may have our global footprint already there. So definitely there are possibilities out there. Second thing is at an individual level, as I said earlier, it doesn't cost you anything to become a site member. All you need to is to have a passion towards SDGs. So I think, if you're listening to this, like a session, or if you're attending it, that's already talk about that you have a passion. So definitely register to become a site member. And thirdly, some of our resources are free, and they're available in the IEEE Learning Network. It provides you a basic understanding. How do you design and deliver humanitarian, technology, and sustainable development projects? And we are continuously on lookout to add newer topics which are relevant and to helpful to our members. So definitely leverage these resources so that you could also strengthen your skill set and potentially can participate in a project either as a contributor or as a mentor. And thirdly, we are just one step away from you through email. So write to us. We really are looking forward to expand our horizons, and we are super thrilled that we already are engaged with several of leading global organizations this year. So definitely, if there are avenues that you think that we can add value to help you out, in a larger mission. So definitely, we are very open to that. So with that said, visit us at hac.ieee.org, where you could learn about some of the programs what we spoke about that in this session. But if you have a specific, outreach plan or a partnership plan that you want to discuss further, write to us at hac-office@ieee.org. And Holly and myself, as I said, we both are really looking forward to foster potential partnership within the STA forum this year. So with that said, next slide. We are going to thank you again for joining us and for spending your valuable time listening to our session today. We truly hope the session was helpful, in terms of understanding how IEEE could be leveraged as a global partner in in solving some of these critical sustainable development challenges. And particularly, as I said, HAC is the front runner in the sustainable development space. So definitely, if you need more information about our program, write to us, and we really look forward to partner with you and build a better future for everyone. So with that said, Holly and myself, we would like to thank everyone who joined us for this session, and probably we'll open the floor for a few questions, from the audience. Thank you. Holly, you want to add anything?
No, thank you, Sampath. Thank you for your leadership on this. This was a lot of fun to talk about.